Brandon asked a question, and what program would you suggest to help me achieve your Sleepless in Seattle standards that you created? That could be including the Olympic lifts as well as the big barbell lifts, as I have been practicing Olympic lifts with very light weight lately as well. Well, first off, those numbers are from Paul Lysingo. Paul wrote this book not long ago, and I like it. Building Back from Zero. Paul, thank you. Paul's also the guy that got me started with the Guardian Academy, and I really appreciate that too, Paul. So there's a bunch of lists there. I mean, I include my high school standards in the Sleepless in Seattle. I often will sit down with, or I'll get emails, or I'll be on a forum and someone's talking about this or that, and I'll just give my high school boy sports standards where I expect you to be able to clean 205, front squat 205, clean and jerk was at 165, and I'll get an email back, I'm not that strong. Well, yeah, you're not as strong as a typical high school varsity athlete. And on the women's side, the numbers are very good, I think. You got I use 95 for the front squat, the clean, 205 is one of the numbers, and those are all real reasonable numbers that I had a lot of success with. There's some other numbers on that list because it's a whole bunch. If you look at that one list from Paul, and those are the ones that have push, pull, hinge squat, loaded carry, Brandon, this is what I think most people miss. So I am going to be talking about how to do it, but listen to this first. The idea on it was to find your flat tire. So you look at that list, and let's say you can overhead squat your body weight for 15, which is pretty impressive. But you can't do a single pull-up. So you're a 7. You're a 7, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're a 7 in the squat standard, and you're a 1 in the pull-up standard, or 2. Well, that's your problem. The first thing you want to do, Brandon, is you want to kind of test and see where your numbers are. We used to come with a spreadsheet that allowed you to see your flat tire. It was kind of cool. My friend Stoney Beckstead put it together, but it's funny how the internet doesn't support some things like it used to. For whatever reason, the internet doesn't support that spreadsheet anymore, which I don't even understand what I just said, but I know that doesn't work anymore because the internet doesn't support it. And the idea is, like, if you're like me, I'm a 7 in the squat, I'm a 7 in the push, I'm a 7 in the hinge, and then I'm like a 2 or 3 in the pull. So if you see me training and you see me, going for a max deadlift or bench press contest, your job is to kind of walk over, tap me on the shoulder and say, you're still as stupid as ever, because I'm still, the gap between my strength and my weaknesses just keeps extending. I need to pull. And you could even argue at the expense of my strengths. I have this standard I use with athletes. So remember, when I'm working with athletes, I train your weaknesses, but we compete with your strengths. So if you have a massive hinge from birth and the way you've trained, we're still going to use the hinge to prepare you for competition. But we might use your squat to keep you mobile, flexible, healthy, and strong in place, to bring your gap up. So that's what the Sleepless in Seattle idea is to give you an idea of where you are and where your gaps are, where your weaknesses are. So first, you've got to go through those numbers, Brandon, and see where you are. Now, if you're all 4s, if you're all 4s or you're all 5s, pretty much for most people, I can fold my arms and say, yeah, you're doing fine. If you're all 5s all across, yeah, you got this. You're doing great. Pat on the back, good job. And maybe we look into something else. We'll actively score. With a torch. Look around for your next issue, your next challenge, your next goal. If you're a 7 here and a 1 here, don't chase anything else until you bring that 1 up to a 2, a 3, a 4 at least. So one, find out where your gap is, find out where your weakness is. Two, then try to get yourself in a situation you're 3s across the line, I'm at 4s across the line, I'm at 5s across the line. The best way I know, and it really was designed, well, I'm going to tell you the workout generator. I mean, I think the workout generator is the best way to do this because the workout generator, if I plug in 5 days a week, I push, I pull, I hinge, I squat, I loaded carry, I do mobility, and I do flexibility all 5 days a week from the information from the workout generator. What I can also do then is go in and change the exercises. So if my push is getting really far ahead, I might want to pick a push pattern that maybe challenges my balance or something like that. There are some lower end ones that I have more problems in. Like if you tell me to do incline bench press, I'm like, sign me up, I got this. But if you tell me to take a suspension trainer and do that push-up variation, it's kind of like you do the dip, and then at the bottom you put the your arm bar off to the side, you bring it back in, and you push up, dip. It's that dippy, push-uppy suspension trainer move. Then I come back down, arm bar off to the left, bring it back, push it up. Even though the load, isn't nearly the same as inclines, that stability and stuff really schools me. So that's one of the reasons I like the workout generator, especially if you spin the exercise selection a little bit each and every day. Workout generator would be first. And then the other thing I'd recommend, Brandon, is maybe getting a buddy or somebody to help you out, somebody you trust, and maybe test. This actually is not a terrible idea. It reminds me of Nick Raines' Fit Ranks, but it would be a fun thing to test on week 1. We're going to do the 1 standards. Basically, can you get into the position? And it's interesting, if you take a picture of it, you take a video of the exercises of you doing it, and then you watch them later with an honest eye, you might say, yeah, I thought I had good flexibility, but that's an ugly squat, or that's brutal. Maybe the next week you test week 2, maybe the next week you test week 3. Once you find yourself at a place where you can't get up to the standard on a week, like week 4, oh, okay, I nailed this, I nailed that, I nailed this, and then, boy, there's that gap. Well, there you go. That's where you're going to focus on for a while. I love having standards that are based across performances. So now, obviously, I'm a track and field coach, and one of the things I love about track and field is you have the stopwatch and you have the measuring tape, and it's really honest. But what's also interesting is that to improve somebody sometime, I kind of think you could be an elite discus thrower with just doing squat snatches. I think you'd be really good. But then all of a sudden, you'd stop improving, and we'd say, well, what's wrong? Well, they're missing that gap. And once we start doing an exercise that doesn't look very discusy, they start getting better. Suitcase carry, incline bench, and I guess it looks a little bit like it. Front squats and pull-ups, which when I was young, pull-ups are the answer to all questions in track and field. So I think that's what I'd like you to do, Brandon. Test yourself first, okay? If you want to be on the Sleepless and Seattle standards, test yourself. Don't just go in and check the boxes, but actually do them. I would suggest week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Try that. If you can get up to week 5, week 6, I tell you one thing, week 7 will open your eyes if you do all those in one workout. And then use something like the workout generator that's going to give you a mix of movements, attack your gaps, weak points, still play with your strong points, and then you can kind of mess around with exercise variations to get yourself up. I think if you're at 4, 5, or 6, you're going to be a very happy person for a long time. Are those numbers perfect? No. Are standards ever perfect? No. They're best guess with the information we have. But the reason we have standards is this. It's so I can sit down with an American football player and say, I look at your numbers and I say, okay, your problem isn't the weight room anymore. Your problem is you can't catch a pass, you can't make a tackle, your teammates can't trust you, or whatever. the answer is no longer in the weight room, it's out there. When I work with track and field athletes, if you're a male and you bench, without really training very hard, if you bench 400, squat 450, snatch 250, and clean 300, and you can do that, practically any day of the week, your problem's not in the weight room if you're not throwing as far as you want. Your problem's out there. It's your arousal control, it's your management of your heart rate, which is really an interesting thing. You got technical issues, you've got tactical or strategic issues. It's something else. Standards teach this. The problem is not the weight room. The problem is if you're on a body composition client and you're 5s across the line and you're still dealing with excessive adipose tissue in dangerous places, it's not the weight room. It's not the exercise salon. It's probably the kitchen. It's probably your food prep. It's probably your meal planning. It's probably something else. It's you need more walking. You need more sleeping. Okay. Hope that helps. And Brandon, pretty simple answer for me. Workout generator, plus the massive amount of testing and thinking I think you need to do. Thank you, Brandon.